Ручечка. О, okay.
Progress.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I will start by inviting you, or rather, finishing my invitation to Great Britain. I am going to show you this country, to show you London, historical places, places outside of London. I am going to tell you everything about some, not everything, some facts of history. I will focus on the past, present, and the future. Okay? Past, present, and the future of Great Britain. And then you will take pens, ручечки возьмите, take pens and make notes. Just a word, одним словом. This word or this figure or this name will later help you, to remember something. Алина, вы исчезли с экрана. Will
Я
help you
здесь.
to... Вас нету. Will help you to remember some of the facts, all right? So here we go. Ну, поехали. I am showing you Great Britain, ladies and gentlemen. And hang on. Oops. Еще раз. Oops. I'm showing you Great Britain. Hang on, секунду еще раз. And I am telling you the story of its past, present, and the future. Виден экран?
Yes.
Go, поехала. Я кусочек сначала повторю то, что вы видели, а потом пойду дальше. So, as you know, Great Britain is situated in the west of Europe. There are four parts to Great Britain. There is England with the capital of London. There is Scotland with the capital of Edinburgh. There is Wales with the capital of Cardiff. And there is a small part of Northern Ireland with the capital of Belfast. It is a very beautiful country. There are 60 million people living there. They are friendly, open, and very welcoming, and very tolerant of your religion, of your views, of your ideas, of everything. There are beautiful cities like this one, York, Chester, London, Liverpool, Manchester, Leeds, Newcastle, and others. You are going to see the history of Britain with its cathedrals, with its monuments, with its royal palaces, with the Tower of London and the Ravens of London, different kinds of sports, different kinds of tradition, all sorts of customs. I will show you how the people live in Great Britain, what their interests are. I am going to show you the royal palaces, Buckingham Palace, Hampton Court, Windsor Castle, the Tower of London. You will see how different people living in Great Britain are. But of course, we'll start with London. London is the capital of Great Britain. I have shown you, вы записываете, что это столица? I have shown you the three kinds of houses. Remember, terraced houses, where you have a neighbor on the left and right. These are the examples of the so-called bedrooms, terraced houses. The second kind of house is called a semi-detached, на две семьи, semi-detached. And the last ideal house is called a detached house, полностью отдельный, with a large territory, with a garage, a double garage, a large garden. This is a dream, but they will be expensive. So this is a pub. I told you about pubs. Remember, it's one of the best places. You can buy anything, good food, good beer. You can have a meal, and you can rent a room for your birthday in the pub. The closer we get to the center, the more expensive the houses are or become. You can travel, you can use two kinds of transport. I told you about that. You can use buses, but you must get onto the bus through the front door. The middle door is for getting off. And of course, you can use the tube. These are the double-decker buses. And you can use the tube, the underground. Uh, Now, here we stopped and I showed you these Harrods. Remember, I will just mention a few facts about Harrods. It is the largest shop and probably the most expensive shop in Great Britain, maybe in the world. And of course, there are good quality foods, all kinds of food. On the ground floor, there are different kinds of food: European food, Asian food, American food, Mexican food, anything. And very good clothing, good quality, but it will be expensive. For many people, Harrods is associated with the name of Mohammed Al Fayed. This is an Mohammed Al Fayed. This is a very rich Egyptian businessman who is very old, but you probably heard that on the last day of the summer, 1997, his son Dodi died in Paris together with Princess Diana, Princess of Wales, the former wife of Prince Charles, Charles III. You know this story. They died in an underground tunnel in Paris, and Mohammed Al Fayed still thinks that they were killed by the secret services of Great Britain. Mohammed Al Fayed is sure that his son, Alina, слушай внимательно, that his son was killed by the secret services of Great Britain. It's an interesting fact. Mohammed owns the most expensive shop in Great Britain, but he does not hold a British passport because the British government does not trust his business. They think he's not an honest businessman, and so he has no passport. Just the richest, the most expensive house in London. This is Harrods. It's like a big street. You can lose your way. Вы потеряетесь там. You can lose your way. It's several streets. So we are passing Hyde Park, it's the biggest park. And this is Trafalgar Square and Nelson Monument. You know that Nelson became a national hero. Admiral Nelson became a national hero of Great Britain in 1805 at the Battle of Trafalgar. When he defeated the invincible Spanish Armada, когда он победил непобедимую армаду испанскую, and he lost his eye and he died in this battle. So the British people collected money to build a monument to their national hero. Записывайте отдельные слова, вам сейчас все придется это максимум из того, что запомните. National hero, Admiral Nelson, Nelson's column, okay? And this is a beautiful Trafalgar Square. You can see a lot of pigeons and my students. I traveled with my students. This is Anya, my student, and Dasha with a pigeon sitting on her head. I'll show you. Сейчас покажу. Oh, this is Daria. And that was 20 years ago. And this is the Speaker's Corner in Hyde Park. Hyde Park is the largest of 900 parks and squares. I repeat, 900 parks and squares in London. You can come there and you will speak about anything you want. This Speaker's Corner is a typical example of British democracy. You can speak about anything. That you hate Putin, or if you want to, you can speak about the fact that you love Putin. This is your choice. This is a British democracy. But if people are interested in this, they will pay attention. If they are not interested in your speech, look, this man is saying nothing. Он ничего не говорит. He is saying peace, мир во всем мире, and drinking beer. He will soon die. Он умрет от цирроза печени. Peace. Он пьет пиво, and people are demonstrating, constantly demonstrating against the war, against Ukrainian war, against Putin, against anything. There are always demonstrations, always. This is Madame Tussauds. Everybody goes to it. You can see Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali, Torvill Dean, Olga Korbut, the former Soviet gymnast, and some of the British athletes. You have to be popular. If you are not popular, your figure will be melted down. You're расплавят. If you, this is Marilyn Monroe. Of course, she's there forever. Marilyn Monroe's wax figure, восковую фигуру, will not be melted. And of course, there is Elvis Presley, and I will tell you about him, and Charlie Chaplin. They are very lifelike figures, очень похожие жизненные фигуры. This is the royal family, younger Prince Charles, and Elizabeth II, she was alive then, and Prince, oh, this is Elizabeth, and Prince Philip, her late husband, ее покойный супруг, and Prince Edward, and the mother queen. Помните, говорит король, это о ней история. And different sportsmen, the Beatles, о которых речь пойдет ниже, ну, через субботу, and many others. It's interesting. You must go to Madame Tussauds because you will just take a seat and there will be a train. Там будет такой поезд. There will be a train. And they will show you British history from 2000 years ago when the Romans, Julius Caesar, Юлий Цезарь, captured Britain and remained and controlled Britain. They will show you every episode of British history, how the Romans arrived, how the German tribes и немецкие племена, Angles, Saxons, and Jutes are это мои студенты. These are my students watching it. Это 20 лет назад было. It was 20 years ago. And you will see all kinds of different kinds of periods in history. They will show you the history of 4 families that ruled Britain for 1,000 years. Just 4 families. The Tudors, Tudore, the Stuarts, Стюарты, the House of Hanover, Дом Ганновера или немцы, ганноверианцы, and the House of Windsor. Это сегодняшний дом. This is the Science Museum. I recommend you every museum. You can sit, можете сидеть in this aircraft, in these airplanes. You can walk around the history of British science, not British science, world science. I recommend you 3 museums: Natural History, естественная история, Science Museum, and of course, you will see these lovely traditions of Great Britain. Every Wednesday, if you travel to London, they will show you this beautiful, colorful ceremony of changing the guards, смена короля, changing the guards. Because as you know, the royal family is guarded, охраняется, by representatives of different countries: Scottish troops, Welsh troops, Irish troops, Australian troops, Canadian troops, and they will all march in front of you wearing these interesting, funny hats. And their manner of walking, их манера ходьбы, will be very special. I am going to show you now the marching band, марширующий ансамбль, marching band. Look at their feet. In a minute, секундочку. In a minute, you're going to see, it's called goose stepping. Это называется гусиная походка. Goose stepping. Минуточку, сейчас увидите. Goose stepping. Look at this marching band. Посмотрите. Look at their feet. Just a moment. You see how many visitors? Oh, look at their feet. Have a look. Goose, видите, как они ходят? Goose stepping, по-гусиному. This is called goose stepping. They are walking and playing, играют. This is a very colorful ceremony. Ух, это Natasha. A very colorful ceremony, and you will enjoy every minute of it. There are thousands and thousands, maybe tens of thousands of tourists every day. And there's no ticket. You don't have to pay. It's free. You can see different kinds of traditions. This is just one of them, okay? Every day in London, there are different kinds of events, historic events, festivals, marches, anything. London is huge. And when you come there, you will see how colorful and beautiful it is. So in a moment, I'm going to take you to a park. Like I said, there are hundreds of parks, hundreds. These parks like Hyde Park, St. James's Park, Green Park, they are just famous parks. But every street has a small green piece, a small green square, something where people can go and relax. Let me finish this changing of the guards. Вы там записываете, сейчас вам повторять. Oh, this is another kind of interesting event. The African Days on the Thames River. And the African band is playing some music. Have a look and even listen. There will be an African band. They will play and sing. Oh, look, and listen, I must say, я должен сказать, this is just an Englishman, a typical Englishman. Englishmen are very flamboyant, extraordinary, необычные. Есть такое слово эксцентричные. Слышали? Не такие, как все. English people are extremely eccentric. So when this particular guy, когда вот этот парень heard the African flute, услышал флейту, he decided to dance. Have a look. Ну, послушайте. And watch him. He's not a young man. I think he's in his 50s or even 60s. Have a look. Слушайте. He's not making money. He's not making money. It's just, you know, his free time. That's all. So he's dancing to a flute. You know, when you and the Africans are on stage. Africans in the scene, they are playing. And these are buskers. Вот вам новое слово. Уличные музыканты. Street musicians. Buskers. Buskers пишется. Buskers. They are just making some extra money. And the people, those who want to pay, they pay. Okay. And there are all kinds of street musicians and circus performers, jugglers, jongleurs, циркачи. This is Covent Garden. Covent Garden in central London. You know the Opera House. You can see this is a modern Harry Houdini. Слышали такого? 20-е годы был никогда, который от цепи освобождался под водой. Gary Houdini. This is a modern Chinatown. I strongly recommend you to go to Chinatown. Of course, there will be buskers. Вот еще музыканты. There will be buskers in Chinatown, but there will be a lot of restaurants. I strongly recommend you a Chinese restaurant. For little money, they will give you a big plate, which is big enough for 2 people, okay? For 2 people. One dish is big enough for 2 people. And the prices will surprise you. They're not expensive. And this is a Chinese band. Вот вам и ансамбль. Okay, so again, listen to my recommendation. If you're hungry, go and, this is my secret recording. Hang on. It is illegal. Это конечно, нелегально. It is illegal to record at St. Paul's. Нельзя в памятниках культуры записывать на видео ничего нельзя. Хочешь, купи видеокассету или диск. Ну, я же советский человек был. But I broke this rule. Послушайте, как поют детский хор. Listen to the singing of the boys' choir. Пишется, кстати, choir, необычное слово. C-H-O-I-R. C-H-O-I-R. А произносится choir, как ни странно, choir. Хор мальчиков. This is heavenly. Это божественно. Heavenly. Heaven – это небо. Heaven. Heavenly – божественно. Listen to them. It took me 1 minute because somebody said, "Excuse me, sir, you cannot video here." I said, "Okay, okay. Listen, how did I get there? Чё я пробрался туда? My colleague, Mrs. Haig from London University, her son had a beautiful voice and he was singing in this choir. So she invited me secretly to go behind and sit on the king's chair. Я сидел на кресле короля. And, ну, я как ребенок такой. So, я пробрался за кулисы туда. And I secretly recorded it. Beautiful. Beautiful. This is St. Paul's, это Святого Павла, the second largest cathedral in the world after St. Peter in the Vatican. This is the, look at the height, посмотрите на высоту. This is it, вот он, the second tallest cathedral in the world. The third is in St. Petersburg, St. Isaac's, Isaki, St. Isaac. Now we are traveling to the south of London across the Thames River. This is St. Paul's. We are traveling to the south of London to the country. Oh, this is the National Theatre. Мы едем на природу, to the country. And it is also very beautiful. You can travel to, or you can take a boat, long boat, длинная лодка, a barge, баржа такая, and you can travel by the canals. We had a picnic lunch, or this man in yellow, вот этот в желтеньком, he was my English friend and my partner. His name was Stephen Keys. Он себя назвал Ключи по-русски. Ну, Кейз, это же ключи, у него такая фамилия была. Стивен, и почему была и есть Стивен Кейз. And so we had sandwiches and beer, and we just had a nice time. Вот эти все потом, половина этой моей группы удрала в Лондон, и где-то там сейчас и живут. Я не шучу, ну, не всем, человека 4 точно. Ну, те, кому родители позволили. This is the swimming pool. I took my students to the London swimming pool, and now everybody has a swimming pool. But in 1996, not everybody went to the London swimming pools. It was good. It was quite a good experience. So we swam and we dived and we enjoyed. We had a nice time, and we went down the rides. Next time I will show you theme parks. А вот в следующий раз, если успею, я вам покажу парки развлечений. О, это что-то. Next time. This is London at night. I always loved the British humor. Я всегда любил британский юмор и люблю. I absolutely love British humor. If you, for example, you want to buy a postcard, хотите купить открытку, чтобы ввести на память, then they sell you an absolutely black piece of paper. Они тебе продают абсолютно черную фотографию с надписью «Лондон ночью». London, там ничего нет, nothing, just a black color. London, oh, absolutely gray, nothing written, там написано London in the fog, London в тумане. They have an excellent, a typical t-shirt, типичная надпись на майке гласит, послушайте, у них типично, это самая популярная майка. This is the most popular t-shirt in London. My dad went to London and all that I got is this lousy t-shirt. который переводится так. Мой папа съездил в Лондон, и все, что я от этого получила, это эту вшивую футболку. Но у них футболка, эта ассоциация отметился. У них написано been there, done it, got a t-shirt, bought a t-shirt. Это значит, тут я был, видел это место и даже купил в нем футболку. Вот это символ. Еще раз, смотрите. Been there, так и написано вот здесь. Я тут был. I have been. Ну, have можно выбрасывать. Been there, done it, это сделал. I have done it. Bought a t-shirt и купил себе на этом месте футбол. Ну, короче, Вася здесь был, да? И все. Здесь был Вася или Петя. Okay, go on. So London is beautiful by the day and London is beautiful by the night, absolutely brightly illuminated. Or these are the examples of very expensive shops in London, like Harrods, Austin Reed, or for Austin Reed, or Fortnum and Mason. These guys supplied food and clothing to the royal family. Okay, so we are driving towards. This is Piccadilly. Я вышла на Piccadilly, Piccadilly Circus and Shaftesbury Avenue. You know, if you go to Piccadilly, you will see a monument, not a very large, but a monument which looks like an angel, который на ангела похож. But this is not the angel. This is the monument to a famous British philanthropist. Понятно? Филантроп. Ну, тот, который деньги дает на благое дело. Philanthropist Lord Shaftesbury. Shaftesbury. And this is called Shaftesbury Avenue. And most of the English theaters are located in Shaftesbury Avenue. I recommend you. You must see a musical. Обязательно какой-нибудь мюзикл. Ну, мы дойдем, у нас же начались рождественские, как минимум годичные рассказы о рок-музыке. Поэтому и до мюзиклов я вас доведу тоже. Аня, я же вам рассказывал когда-то про рок-музыку, хоть что-то или нет в ваше время? Было такое? Ну, неважно, сейчас она уже ничем не изменилась. Только в то время было лучше. Ну, я же уже пожилой, я должен ворчать. Okay, so let's go on. Musical. You must go to Shaftesbury Avenue and see a good musical. Les Miserables. Отверженные. Les Miserables. Starlight Express. Звездный экспресс. Cats. Коты. Jesus Christ Superstar. Иисус Христос Суперзвезда. Or anything. Musicals are fantastic. I am speechless. My words fail. У меня слов не хватает to describe this great thing. So again, London by night, it's beautiful, okay? And it is safe, и он безопасный. London is a safe place. You don't have to worry. Oh, this is Harrods. That Harrods, Muhammad Al Fayyad. You see how brightly it is illuminated, ladies and gentlemen. London by the night, okay. And perhaps, you know, again, I repeat, he's 90 years old, ему 90 лет, but Muhammad Al Fayyad thinks that British secret services had killed his son, Dodi, and Princess Diana of Wales. The official verdict is an accident, because London is a city of many religions. It's a very tolerant place. If you asked me about the main feature of character of the English people, а вот вы не записываете, как вы запомните столько информации, Алина и другие? Tolerance is their second nature. Итак, толерантность, терпимость к чужому мнению – это их вторая природа. Так говорят англичане. Tolerance is their second nature. They are very tolerant of your religion. They are very tolerant of your ideas, of your opinions, of your views. Tolerance is something which made Great Britain. Это то, что сделало Британию Британией. Tolerance. So you can see Buddhist temples, буддийские храмы, like this one, and Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. You know, they walk about the city. And it's interesting. I cannot take you inside, but we were inside. And you know what I loved about Buddhism, about Indian or Hindu religion? There are two religions in Buddhism and Hindu religion. They don't believe in God. They live this life. Они живут этой жизнью. For them, the monuments of their Shiva and я не помню уже, как зовут их богов. Ну,
Будда.
помню, нет времени. They every day they bring milk and bread and rice and food to these monuments, wipe their mouths, вытирают им рты, take away and bring their dinner and supper, приносят обед и ужин. They don't, они не верят, they don't believe, they know, они знают, they know that there are gods, okay? So this is an example of a Buddhist temple in London, but you have Muslim mosques, мусульманские мечети, and Jewish synagogues and Christian cathedrals, anything. They are very tolerant towards freedom, свобода of any opinion, freedom, вот это я их посадил как, ну, своих для фотографий. This is the Tower of London. The Tower of London was an old fortress, старинная фортеця, fortress, and then a prison, потом тюрьма, prison, and then, of course, it's a museum. It's a cultural place. It's a landmark, это веха историческая, landmark. And if you want to see the collection of guns and swords, мечей, daggers, кинжалов, I don't know, any kind of weapons, arms, you must go to this Tower of London. Many people were imprisoned in the tower. Some of them were executed. For example, I will show you Henry VIII place. Покажу Генриха вот этого толстого восьмого, 6 женами, помните? Who had 6 wives and who executed, not personally, but executed 2. Remember Anne Boleyn? Помните историю Анны Болейн? Anne Boleyn, the second wife? Сейчас расскажу. Вы записывайте, вам сейчас рассказывать настоящее, прошедшее и будущее. Но по очереди, но как можно больше. So this is the Tower of London again. It's an interesting place. You will walk about it. You will enjoy. There is an interesting legend about the Tower of London. Do you know that every month the British Parliament allocates 600 pounds for the birds? Выделяет 600 фунтов на птичек. I am going to show you these birds. Сейчас я вам этих птичек покажу. I am going to show you these birds. These birds are the ravens. Это вороны. Raven – это ворон. Помните? This is one of these 6. There are 6 ravens. Huge, большие, huge ravens. And their wings are clipped. Их крылья подрезаны. Their wings are clipped. Do you know why? Because the old legend goes that if these ravens fly away from London, the enemies, кто основные враги были? Да французы. А сегодня эпохальный матч Франция-Англия на чемпионате мира. Рекомендую посмотреть. Будет рубка. Это 2 самых заклятых друга. Англия и Франция. Заклятые друзья. Okay, so the enemies will come if these ravens покинут, leave London, the enemies will come and destroy it, и разрушат этот город. So, и 600 фунтов ежемесячно, 6, they have names, я вот сейчас не помню, какой-то Мунин, Пугин, какие-то такие, каждый ворон поименован лично. This is English people absolutely love traditions and legends and everything. So I think these ravens are happy. They have everything, believe me. Okay. But they cannot fly. This is my favorite castle. It is called Hampton Court. Hampton Court is the place where Henry VIII, the Tudor family. I'll repeat again. Вот он. I will show you Henry. This is Henry VIII, and I will say a couple of words. Once again, 4 families ruled Great Britain for over 1,000 years. The first family, the Tudors, the second, the Stuarts, вторая Стюарты, the third, the House of Hanover, Дом Ганновера, немцы, Hanoverians, and the current royal family, which is ruling Great Britain, is, как фамилия нынешних, подскажите?
Винзоры. Винзоры.
Виндзор.
Маунтбеттены. Вообще-то Маунтбеттены.
А это другой вопрос. Они немцы как-то, они такие Маунтбаттены.
Нет, ну
и
если
они
по
немцы.
отцу, если брать по отцу, да, то тогда уже Чарльз Маунтбеттен.
Конечно, ну это да, но это же не благозвучная фамилия в Англии, поэтому они стали Виндзорами. Так, на минутку. Okay. So, you know, I must tell you a few words about Henry VIII and his rule. It's very interesting because Henry changed the religion of Britain. Because, do you know why? Because he fell in love with Anne Boleyn. It happened 500 years ago, это 500 лет назад произошло, but, you know, because when Henry was married 6 times, ну дайте я уже начал, так доскажу, а вы что запомните, то воспроизводите. He was married 6 times. Он имел 2 жен казненными, вот так и надо сказать, как волосы подстриженными, потому что он же не лично им отрубал головы. He had 2 of the 6 wives executed, okay? But he first married a widow of his brother. Он женился браком на вдове своего брата. Catherine of Aragon, Катарине Арагонской, Catherine of Aragon. It was a typical practice. When your brother's brother died, you married his woman, his wife. But he wanted a son. Henry wanted a son, and she did not give him a son. So he decided to divorce her. And so he sent a messenger to the Pope. Он послал папе римскому посланника, asking, please let me divorce. Дай мне развестись. And the Pope said, no, marriages are made in heaven. Да браки на небесах совершаются. How can you divorce a woman? And, ну, я вам скажу, что посланник был бы либо казнен, и когда пришел, да, либо все равно он умер от разрыва сердца, узнав об этом. He married that the Pope did not allow. So Henry said, who is this Pope? А кто это такой Папа Римский? I am the King of England. And we have nothing to do with the Roman Catholicism. И мы уже с этого момента не имеем никакого отношения к римской католической церкви. And я объявляю себя, I proclaim myself the leader of Anglican Church. Объявляю себя главой англиканской церкви. Вот так они отделились от римской католической. And by the way, he confiscated all the church property, all the monasteries, и он себе в карман забрал всю... Представляете, сколько монастырей, как богаты были эти монастыри и соборы. Он все себе забрал. Вот вам Генри VIII. Такая знакомая практика, да? Окей, let's go. Что, думаете, наши были другими? Окей, so, look, these are... О, вот вам еще одно секретное. His private chapel, его личная часовня Генриха VIII. Это золотое все. Look at this gold. И тут же мне сейчас скажут, сэр, извините, здесь снимать нельзя.
Sorry, sir.
Слышали? Sorry, sir. Окей. Ну, я успел снять, и все равно... Ну, ребят, все равно это в свободном доступе. Это же я ничего не нарушал. Просто нарушал этот конкретную часовню. Окей. Ну, короче, если нельзя, но очень хочется, вот вам и типичный пример. Ужас. This is Hampton Court. Look how gorgeous and beautiful and stunning. This is Henry VIII style, a huge garden with beautiful gobelins and carpets and beautiful alcoves, beautiful bedrooms. This is his chair. what I like about Hampton Court is that the atmosphere of medieval England, атмосфера средневековой Англии, еще раз, the atmosphere of medieval England was kept, was preserved. Oh, by the way, Henry married Anne Boleyn, и потом же он женился на своей Anne Boleyn, and then he accused her of adultery, а потом обвинил в измене and had her executed. Okay? If you go to her chambers, если вы зайдете там в определенное крыло, где были спальни, they say there is a ghost of her ghost walking up and down the corridors. Говорят, что там по ночам видят привидения женщины, иногда с головой, иногда без головы. Это такая легенда. Ну, а туристам же приятно. They see the ghost of Anne Boleyn without a head or with a head walking up and down. Do you know what her last words were of Anne Boleyn before her head was chopped off? Помните, chop, pork chop, свиная отбивная. Так вот, to chop это отрезать. Before her head was chopped, she said these words, pray for the king, for he is a good man. Молитесь за короля, который еще отправил на плаху. Он хороший человек. Так она сказала перед смертью, говоря о своем муже. Move on, пойдем дальше. So, Hampton Court is situated maybe 40-30 minutes by boat, by bus. You can travel there. Look how beautiful it is. There is a luxury, роскошь, luxury garden. It's like Louvre, это как Louvre, or like French palaces, or any other place. Or if you travel outside of Petersburg, in Russia. Я понимаю, что вы туда не поедете в ближайшие лет 50, но тем не менее. You will see the same, because our kings, ну будем называть их наши цари, tried to copy this. Ну от Петра начиная окно на запад, а это значит, у меня тоже роскошь есть. This is the fireplace, Henry's fireplace. And I like the kitchen. Why? Because in the kitchen, you can see the typical food. Oh, this is the kitchen. The roe. Roe – это косуля. Рое пишется. Вот ее только убили, вон кровь. Ну, якобы убили. 500 лет она лежит там. For 500 years. Ну, что, слушайте, а как они мясо? Они же не были вегетарианцами. They were not vegetarian. And you can see how the people who had been working for Henry, how they cooked food for him. You see this typical, еще раз, средневековая, medieval kitchen of the 16th century. То это 1540 год, прикиньте, 1540s, ladies and gentlemen. So they tried to preserve everything, even the typical food. So I think they have a nice institute. Oh, this is an interesting woman. Oh, немножко промотнул. I'll show you this interesting woman. Сейчас я вам покажу эту интересную девушку. Hang on, подождите секундочку. Ну, далеко. Ну, неважно. One of my students married a Swiss baron. Вот я не шучу. Оля вышла замуж за какого-то швейцарского барона и живет теперь в Швейцарии. Это правда. She has 3 children and she lives in Switzerland. She was quite beautiful. Что это was? She is. But it was 20 years ago. Но это 20 лет тому назад было. Okay. Enough. Хватит вам, может быть. Все, хватит. To be continued. Я и так уже, смотрите, какую историю длиннючую вам рассказал. Enough. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Спасибо большое. To be continued. Ba-bam. So, ladies and gentlemen, and now I will remind you about one word. The word is blue. What is blue?
Голубой.
А еще?
Русский.
А еще? грустный, грустный. The word blues, blues. Вот блюзы? Это грусть. Now, where does this blue... Oh,
Я вообще
mommy.
поняла слово блю, а это мировой блюз, вы сказали. Боже мой, я совсем ничего не поняла.
Конечно. Но видите, сколько
Анна, я с
открытий
вами солидарна.
чудных готовит просвещение век.
Да,
Пушкин.
кошмар.
So, ladies and gentlemen, very quickly, the word blues has a very tragic history. I will tell you about this history, and then you try to concentrate and try to reproduce my story as close to the original as possible. I am beginning an endless series, я начинаю бесконечную серию of music stories, of rock music stories, but I will start with the blues because it was blues, Afro-American blues, which gave birth, которая породила, the modern rock music, rock and roll, this is just a general word, different kinds of rock, jazz rock, progressive rock, есть даже психоделический рок, это Pink Floyd, psychedelic rock, pop rock, country rock, and so on and so forth. But at the beginning of this story is a simple guitar and a black man, or usually a man, with a guitar singing about the tragedy of his life. Why? Where does blues come from? This word blues. 500 years ago, Europeans, Portuguese people, Spanish, Dutch, English, French, Danish people were traveling, and they arrived to Africa. And in Africa, you could buy people for cheap prices. You will pay £3, and when you bring this man, this woman, this girl, this boy, or this child to America or Europe, to Brazil, to Cuba, to Barbados, to Jamaica, you will get £20. So millions of black people were transported from the African continent onto European continent and American continent. People usually from Western Africa, Cameroon, Cote d'Ivoire, Congo, countries like that. Now, why did these captains, Portuguese, Spanish, not Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, English, Danish, Dutch captains, why did they carry this? Why did they travel? It was a long journey, 6 to 8 weeks, 2 months to cross the Atlantic Ocean. Sailing, ну под парусами, sailing, of course. It took them 2 months. Еще лучше past perfect. It had taken them 2 months before they left New York, Liverpool, Bristol, Amsterdam, or any port and traveled to Africa. No, they bought people or traded или exchanged, выменивали. Вот как вчера выменяли Бритни Грайнер на торговца смертью Виктора Бута. Мы с вами на следующей неделе, если успеем, возьмем этот обмен. Капец. Не знаете, что ли, баскетболистку? Ну, не важно.
In what year it was? In what year?
I am talking, Anna, about 500 years. From the 14th century, 14 века, till the very end of the 19th century. Ну, грубо говоря, с 15 по конец 19. From the 15th century to the 19th century, because officially, this trade in humans, торговля людьми, was banned запрещена at the beginning of the 19th century, but practically it never ended. Она до сих пор, что сейчас не торгуют людьми? Well, so let me give you some gruesome details. Мне придется сказать вам, как это по-английски gruesome, потому что gruesome – это грустные детали of this trade in people. Why? Because it was tragic. So, first of all, you might put yourselves into the shoes of this African girl or a man or a boy or a child. You were walking about in Cameroon, in Congo, in Cote d'Ivoire, and suddenly some strange looking white guys arrest you, tie you up, связывают, and dump you и бросают onto the boat, which will travel, which will take you to somewhere, to a new planet, white planet, which you had never seen. And these white people will first of all beat you into submission, чтобы ты подчинялся, and then they will put you to work, not to work, to toil. Toil, T-O-I-L, это пахать, работать в поте лица. Вот так в Библии сказано. You will toil from your bread. Ну, когда якобы изгнали Адама и Еву, ну, своеобразная история из рая, да? В поте лица своего хлеб свой зарабатывать будете, сказано. Так вот это слово toil. You will toil on plantations in, for example, in the south of the United States of America. I mean, Florida, in Texas, in Louisiana, in Alabama, in Georgia. What will you do? Что ты будешь делать? You will grow rice, sugar, tobacco, and cotton, and maize. Еще, что такое маиз? Кукуруза. Еще раз. You will grow, ты будешь выращивать. You will grow day and night, каждый день. You will grow tobacco, rice, sugar, sugar cane, сахарный тростник. Listen. What do you think? How did many Spanish, Italian, English, Dutch, French families become rich? Slavery, рабство, African slavery. Hundreds and thousands of people worked on these sugar plantations, growing sugar cane, and then you sold this sugar to Europe. And the money was unbelievable, huge money. These black people, уже забудьте черные, нет слова, это для них оскорбительно. Afro-Americans, афроамериканцы. These African people, a Negro, забудьте навсегда это слово, вас посадят. Нет слова Оксана, Алина, в Англии нет слова Negro и даже black нехорошее слово. Все, забыли их. Afro-Americans or Afro-British people, Afro-French people. Okay, so they traveled now, but before the tragedy began, from the very first minute, when they dumped your black body, когда ваше черное тело бросили на корабль, when they dumped your body onto the boat, you understand that the boats were very big. The more slaves you could get, the more money you will receive. So hundreds, maybe thousands of blacks were put, были положены, в прямом смысле положены, were put like layers, слоями, layers onto the boat. They slept on, I will have to give you these details because we must know what we did to each other, what we are doing to each other today. Absolutely no difference. We are animals. We are not humans. What did we do to black people, to Afro-Americans? So, это пирог. Imagine, what's слоеный пирог. Imagine, and these people were lying for 2 months on top of each other, or if the captain was better, he would give them one bed for 3 or 4 people, okay? To relieve yourselves, вот это что я такое красиво сказал, чтобы облегчиться, то есть, извините, справить нужду, to urinate, or excuse me, to shit. You would have, if the captain was good, you would have one bucket, одно ведро for 20 people. Okay? And if the captain was not very good, you would lie on top of each other, urinating down. Why am I telling you these details? Because I read the books, the biographies. I can tell you about one doctor, for example, who worked as a doctor on this boat, and one captain asked him to go down to see these slaves because they suddenly became ill. Suddenly, вдруг. Of course they were ill. They died every day. Dozens and hundreds of people died. And what happened to them? They were thrown overboard to the sharks who followed these boats. For the sharks, it was brilliant. They ate a lot of bodies. So this captain asked the man, the doctor, to go down and have a look because, you know, it's good. Это ж товар, он болеет. So the money will not be enough. So the doctor writes, итак, доктор пишет, I opened the door to go down, and the rest I cannot remember because I fainted. Я потерял сознание because of the smell. Хватит деталей. I fainted. Я упал в обморок because of the... Есть такое слово stench. Smell — это просто запах. А stench — это смрад. Stench. He could not go into it. People died. Ну хорошо, еще одну деталь. Another detail. Oh, you are all ladies. Вы все леди. What do you think the sailors did to the young and maybe not young black women on the boat? This journey, this trip had a special name. Bachelor's Delight. Кто-то может перевести это слово? Bachelor's Delight. Восторг для холостяка. Bachelor — это бакалавр, а второе слово — это холостяк. Bachelor. Ну, BC. Bachelor's degree. Ну, бакалаврат, да, звание бакалавра. Но второе значение — это холостяк. Bachelor's, восторг. Because forget the captains or the officers, but every sailor could have any woman or any black girl on that boat as many times as he wanted and whenever he wanted. So small wonder, неудивительно, that the girls were pregnant. They already arrived to the new white world pregnant. Bravo, white people. Давайте признавать, let's admit it, we did it to Africans. Look at America now. Now, remember, a couple of years ago, помните, они сбрасывали монументы работорговцам? Помните, там была война с памятниками? Вот же недавно в Штатах это было. Некрасиво, ну не очень, но их можно понять. А мы с ними что делаем? Ну мы. Слушайте, можно я вам задам вопрос? А что делали российские помещики с крепостными крестьянами? Ну и украинские, и белорусские, неважно. Какой же объект? Купить, продать, изнасиловать, подарить. Не вопрос. Мы что, другие, что ли? Мы из другого теста? Вот, извините, такая грустная история у рок-н-ролла. Вот она с этого начинает. Зато потом, не бойтесь, я вас расстраивать сильно не буду. These are details of slavery. Slavery. Кровавое рабство. Bloody slavery. So, what did this poor black 1 in 5, еще раз, 1 in 5 black people was dead, лучше сказать, had been dead, had died, ну, past perfect, да, умер, had died before he reached the new world, прежде чем он достиг этого нового мира, the United States, via Brazil, обычно через Бразилию. Why do you think Brazilian girls and women so beautiful, Brazilian models, mixture of bloods? смесь кровей разных рас. Она всегда дает талант. А вот белый хочет защититься, ничего не будет, нет никакой чистоты расы. Фигня собачья. Чем больше смесей, тем лучше и талантливее. Что Украина такая вот чистая нация, татаро-монголы, там, половцы. Я вас прошу. Окей. Все, Россия точно такая Белоруссия, европейцы, переселение народов, Чингисхан. Ну, я вас умоляю, чистота наций. Okay, so let's go on. Продолжим. Я уже останавливаюсь. So what did these black people do when they arrived? When they had 5 minutes, they never had 5 minutes because they were exploited by the white people. They took a guitar or a banjo and sang about this tragedy. Sang about his motherland in Africa, about his friends whom he would never see again. And it turned into the blues. И выразилось это в блюзах. And after the Second World War, а после Второй мировой войны, Наташ, не расстраивайтесь, after the Second World, ну история, а что сейчас происходит, что-то лучшее, что ли? Так что это наша природа. Это мы себя называем человеки. Ну ладно.
Скажите про
А,
превращалась еще раз. It turned,
А?
it turned.
Return, да, превращаться, return, да? To
О
return.
чем вы хотите спросить? Я не понял.
Это превратилось в музыку.
И превратилось. Return – это возвращаться, а turn – это превращаться. Не
turned
возвращаться, а
into
превращаться.
music.
It turned. Смотрите, эта трагедия превратилась в красивую музыку. This tragedy turned into beautiful slow blues music, typically typical Afro-American music. And then after the Second World War, when the United States of America became the United States of America, only after the Second World War, they became very rich and they lent money to Germany, to Europe. They became the United States. And unfortunately, the music, Europe was not very happy after the Second World War. A lot of countries were ruined. A lot of people had died and deported. The families were broken. And so the music after the Second World War was a little bit conservative. I will play, я сейчас вам сыграю, но не я лично. I will play you a nice piece of music. And so young people wanted to change this conservative music into something energetic. You can't be depressed all the time. You need some happy change. And so the white people took the blues, made it faster, ускорили его, made it faster, turned it into rhythm and blues, так называлась первооснова рок-н-ролла, ритм и блюз, rhythm and blues, сейчас вам захочется даже станцевать, уверяю вас, rhythm and blues, and then blended, смешали, блендер кухонный узнаете, blended this rhythm and blues with jazz music, with country music, with different pop music, with different styles. And the child was born. The year when this child was born is 1954. 1954. This is officially the beginning of rock and roll. This is a typically body music, dancing music. And because again, before 1954, the music, еще раз смотрите, past perfect, had been conservative, jazzy. I will play, сейчас сыграю. Ваши матери и бабушки этим увлекались когда-то. Your mothers and grandmothers loved this music of 1940s and 50s, но это до меня даже было. Поэтому, but the younger generation changed it. And thus, и таким образом, the rock and roll was born. Стоп, остановился. О, упала. So, ladies and gentlemen, your turn. Теперь ваша очередь. The beginning, корни, the roots of rock music. Еще раз говорю, словом рок-н-ролл описывает все стили, разные. Джаз-рок, кантри-рок, поп-рок, психоделический рок, тяжелый металл, heavy metal. Это все рок-н-ролл начало. Вот это его начало. В тоске американского негра. И забыли слово негр, его больше не существует в словаре. Afro-American. Окей. Ladies and gentlemen, your turn. Поехали. Та же задание. Take turns по очереди. What do I know about... Не расстраивайтесь. About the history of rock and roll. Go, go, go. Поехали. Ну, девочки, ну такова наша природа. Ничего, я вам должен напомнить о ней. Go on, go on, go on. Давайте. Аня, второй.
Опять?
Опять не получается. Второй зал, Аня.